Welcome, friends. This is Frederick Henry, and I want to thank you very much for downloading this podcast. And so many of you have done that. I mean, I am overwhelmed with gratitude at the numbers of people who have, we got some stuff going, but there's difficulties, there's problems. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure. Maybe. And the bankers, the investors, and the bureaucrats and the politicians say, but Donald, everybody says it can't be done. Everybody says it can't be done. Everybody says it can't be done. Hama. And he says, well, I don't know everybody. I just know myself. And so he puts on his hard hat. He puts on his work vest, and he goes out into the field with his workers. He goes to the steel workers. He goes to the building trades. He goes to the cement people. He goes to the blacktop people. He goes to the garbage people. He goes to the waste management people. He goes to the permit people, the bureaucrats. He goes personally. And he says, listen, guys, I want to deliver this for you. I want to make this happen for you. He holds out a vision to them, the people, the workers. And they say, okay, Donald, we're going to be on your side. And then he takes that back to the bankers, and he takes it back to the investors and the bureaucrats and the politicians. He says, listen, these thousands of people out here, all wearing hard hats, all in the construction trades, back me. And they promise that they will do it. And the bankers and the investment people, the bureaucrats and the politicians say, okay, if you have the loyalty of all those good people out there, we're going to go ahead and give you another couple of $1 billion, and we're going to give you more time. And you see, it's a building process. He does it again and again until he completely revitalizes the entire lower section of Manhattan Island from 50th Street down to Wall Street, for goodness sakes. So, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful section. It's a beautiful thing. It's one of the most magnificent transformations of a city ever accomplished by one man and his allies, the people who he allied himself with. So when Donald Trump goes to the nation, he's not going to... You and I are the board of directors. You and I are the bankers. You and I are the investors. You and I are the voters. You and I are the bureaucrats. You and I are the politicians. You and I are the people that Donald Trump has to convince. And he has convinced. He convinced us first to elect him to be president of the United States. And he knew right away that he had to report to the citizen voters. He had to report to you and to me. He had to report to you and to me what he was doing and whether he was succeeding. Now, Donald Trump is used to this. This is not strange to him. So he's not going to come on the TV or in a rally or in a presentation or a press conference and say, oh, gee, shucks, give me a break. Oh, gee, shucks, I'm sorry, it's not working out. It's tough. There's a lot of difficulties. Hama. Give me a break. I'm just learning, all that kind of stuff. That's not going to sell. He knows it's not going to sell. And he has never used that process. He comes out with confidence. He comes out and says, listen, this is what we have done. This is what we have accomplished. These are the people who have allied themselves, the workers, the construction workers, the retailers, the bankers, the investors. He says to the American people, you and me, the voters, he says, the bankers, the stock market, the investment bankers, the construction industries, the unions, the retailers, the international community, etc., all of these people are in my alliance to make America great, and through making America great, making the world great again, using capitalism and the kind of Trumpism success orientation that he alone, I think of all the people in our world today, he alone is the example of that. Now, of course, we have the naysayers. We have the fake news. They want to tear down. They want to destroy. They want to look for the negative. They want to look for the chink in the armor. They want to look for the Achilles heel. They want to look for a way to slay Donald Trump, to kill Donald Trump, to destroy Donald Trump, because the media it thrives on tragedy. It thrives on murder. It thrives on rape. It thrives on civil unrest. It thrives on all this kind of salaciousness in the Hollywood stuff and tawdriness and all that. That's what they do. So Donald Trump is not that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who wants to talk about America. He wants to talk about parks and people and families and churches and buildings and bridges and roads and trade agreements. He wants to talk about peace in our world. He wants to talk about no everlasting war in Afghanistan. He wants to talk about no everlasting war in Iraq. He wants to talk about no everlasting war between Israel and the Palestinians. He wants to talk about accomplishments. He wants to talk about progress. He's a man of his time who is very tired of accepting the excuses of past generations. He's very tired and unwilling to accept the excuses of past leaders who have failed. The past leaders who have failed give us all kinds of reasons and excuses as to why we, the people, we the voters, are to blame for their failure. Donald Trump says, no, you the voters are not failures. You the voters are not responsible for failure. You the voters are not accountable for the failure. The leaders, whether it's Obama or Bush or Carter or Clinton, they failed. And their failure is not your failure, it's their failure. And Donald J. Trump says, listen, I came in here to say that we don't have to fail. You and I together as American citizen voters, as members of the community of the United States of America, we are not destined to fail if we choose not to fail. We can choose to fail. We can choose to sabotage ourselves. We can choose to destroy ourselves by acquiescence to failed politics, failed politicians. I am reminded, I come from the New Jersey area, but I used to belong to the city of New York. I am reminded that de Blasio, one of the epic failures of New York politics, was elected on the basis of 18%. There's 10 million voters in New York City, 10 million. 18% of those people voted. De Blasio won the majority of 18%. Now, whose fault is that? Is that de Blasio's fault? No, it's not his fault. It's that voters of the city of New York are so discouraged. They're so, I don't know what you call them, stupid, I guess. I don't know what you call them. And they allowed him to be elected to the powerful position of mayor for a 4-year term based upon 18. So the other, the other 82% of the vote, 82% of 10 million people didn't even bother to vote. Didn't even bother to vote. Who's to blame for de Blasio? They are. Now, whether they're discouraged, they don't think there's any chance, there's any hope, that they don't exercise their right to vote, that's their problem. Okay, so back to Donald J. Trump. So in the present circumstance, the president is confronted with the possibility of what he's supposed to do. And right now, he's doing the best he can because he has this invisible enemy called the coronavirus. And he has put out possibilities for the hydrochloroquine and azithromycin and zinc therapies based upon good, solid scientific and medical evidence. He has put out the recommendations of Dr. Fauci and others. Believe me, it's not just Fauci. Fauci is just the shining little star in the front. There are lots of other people. And Dr. Brechen and the others, they're just as equally qualified and just as equally able to handle these kind of situations. The Surgeon General of the United States of America and others. So let's not just, Fauci, let's not make him a superstar. He's not a superstar. He's just one man among many. And there are many other doctors, research laboratories, university laboratories, hospital laboratories, and so on, as research institutes around the world that are giving opposition to Fauci's conclusions and saying, no, the conclusions he has put out are faulty and they're not workable. And we need new solutions and new dates and times and like more. Okay, so what we're talking about here is that what do you do in terms of our president? Well, I voted for Donald Trump. I continue to back Donald Trump. I watch his daily briefing. I am terribly disappointed at the questions that are asked. To ask the President of the United States how many deaths he would accept is just unconscionable. To accuse the President of the United States of promoting hydroxychloroquine because he has a $99. The value of his investment in Sandoz is $99. This is a $5 billionaire who has many mutual funds. One of the companies in that mutual fund has an interest in Sandoz, and that interest is equal to $99. So the New York Times comes out and says the reason why President Trump is promoting hydroxychloroquine is because he has a financial interest. That is absolutely sickening. It nauseates me. And I want to make a comment there about that. What is the New York Times? Who cares about the New York Times? I don't read the New York Times. I never did. I used to read the Herald Tribune before it went out of business. For some reason, everybody thinks that the god of all press and the god of all newspapers and the god of all yes or no, the god who gives yes or no, is the New York Times. New York Times is just one paper, and not a very good one, among others. And I think it's time for us to ignore the New York Times, to dismiss the New York Times, and to say we do not trust the New York Times and we don't care what the New York Times says, because the New York Times is not as proven, as the New York Times itself has proven to us that it is not worthy of our trust. That's the point. So where do we go now? Well, I think this is a few days before Easter, and I think that things are turning around. I think we're seeing many good reports from the various statistical surveys that are being done about the coronavirus. I think the president has a plan by instituting an economic panel to lead us through this time and bring us out of the shutdown into prosperity again. I think we all want it. I really think there's a few Americans, part of the Clinton cabal perhaps, maybe all Democrats, although I don't think all Democrats, but definitely Pelosi and these others, Nadler and Schiff and these people, they would like to see America go down, because they believe that with the waving of their particular Democrat magic wand, they'll be able to make it presto magic come back again. And they think that that's what Trump did. See, the Democrats think that Trump has some kind of a magic wand. He just waves the magic wand, presto magic, and we become a phenomenal society, phenomenal economic success, phenomenal building success, phenomenal everything success, win, and win. They think that's just serendipitous. It's not. It's the result of his experience. It's the result of his talent. It's the result of his insight. And it's the result of his very hard work. He works all the time for you and for me. And so the lazy Democrats who do nothing but rebel, and oppose, and tear down, they never come up with anything new. They just come up with, let's oppose, let's resist, let's stop, let's tear down, let's stymie, let's destroy, and so forth. That's what they do. And we don't want that. We don't want them. We want to be rid of the Democrats. And we should, I hope in the 2020 election, we are rid of them. I mean, rid of them in big time rid of them. We must turn the Congress into an overwhelming majority for the Republicans, and we must turn the Senate, as far as we're able, to turn it into an overwhelming majority for the Republicans, and then we must voice our strong support for the president during the next 4 years from 2020 to 2024 and beyond. Because that's the only way you and I, my fellow American citizen voters, are going to succeed, is to hitch our wagon to a man of proven ability and proven accomplishments who has delivered on his promises and will continue to deliver on his promises if we will deliver on our promise to elect him to office again in November of 2020. So please vote for Donald Trump and vote for yourself, because when you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting for yourself. This is Frederick Kenny. I want to thank you very much. I know this has been a little bit longer than I intended it to be. I hope you don't mind my sharing with you. I really wish we could have feedback, and I'm trying to work that out. Like I say, I have many tasks in a day. I am still a working man. I don't have a staff. I'm not rich.